My husband thinks I'm ugly. I've never loved him more. I am an unattractive woman. Objectively, I'd always been this way, and while I had accustomed myself to it, it nonetheless remained a daily fact that being an ugly woman sucked. I met my husband 4 years ago and he was the greatest thing that had ever happened to me. He had always and frequently told me I was beautiful and somehow sounded honest without sounding like my mother. Like someone without another option to answer. Last night, Saturday, he had a group of friends over to our home. They met several times a month to hang out, catch up, and play games. He had known most of these guys since high school. I was upstairs in the kitchen preparing drinks and snacks when I was able to hear them in the basement and began to eavesdrop, which I knew was rude, but it wasn't really intentional. I realized they were talking about me. A couple of guys were teasing my husband about me, specifically about my looks. I could tell it was supposed to be funny. It was not. There was a point where one of them referred to me as a troll and my husband blew up, started shouting, "Listen, shut the F up. I know that she is ugly, but shut up. She makes me happy." Does your bimbo of the week do that? Jim? Dave, how long has it been since we've hung out and you haven't complained about your wife? He went on for a while defending me, but all I could hear was, "I know she's ugly, I know she's ugly, I know she's ugly." Again and again in my head. It just broke me. I didn't know why. I'd always known I was unattractive, but he wasn't supposed to. He told me I was beautiful so sincerely and consistently, I'd started to actually believe he thought that. I started to cry and ran into the shower so no one could hear me. When I came out an hour later, everyone had gone home far earlier than normal. I went to bed and then hadn't spoken to him all day today. But I thought I'd been able to avoid letting him know I was upset or avoiding him. I knew rationally that what he said was true and sweet, and that I should be happy he loved me and not my body. But it didn't seem to matter. I just wanted to be pretty. God, I felt so shallow. I'd been crying all day. What did I say to him? Part of me wanted to call him a liar, to scream and yell and cry, while the other part just wanted to run away and never have to talk to him again. And acknowledge that even the greatest man I'll ever meet couldn't find me attractive. So yesterday, after getting a barrage of support from you guys on my phone every couple minutes nonstop all day, I decided to try and confront my husband over what I'd overheard. After we were both home from work, I told him I needed to talk. I told him I'd overheard him and his friends, and he immediately started to apologize for them, saying they were jerks and that I should have told him I'd heard. I had to stop him to let me get a word in and tell him it wasn't his friends so much as it was what he said. When I told him what he said, his whole tone changed. I could tell he wasn't expecting to be blamed. I had the whole conversation planned out. I wanted to explain how it made me feel, how I thought he really was attracted to me, how betrayed it made me feel to hear him say that behind my back. But I just started to cry and couldn't really communicate what I wanted to say very well. He was awesome though, and just helped me, and then after a minute started to speak like he was reading right out of the nicest comments in the original thread, telling me he was just angry and didn't speak very well, that he really did find me attractive, even if the world doesn't and his friends don't. I calmed down pretty quick. I basically cried myself out. The day before, he took me to his computer and showed me an email he sent to all of his friends on Sunday. I wish I could copy-paste it now. But he basically called all his friends a-holes. He said they crossed the line from good-natured trash talk to just being a-holes, and then continued going far beyond. He said that for time indefinite, they had to find another host. We're no longer welcome in my home. Seeing him stand up for me again made me happy. Especially seeing him do it without talking bad about me, helping me believe it really was just heat of the moment. Bad word choice. He told me to wait in the room and left, coming back with a folder. He said he was going to give me this for Christmas, but that he'd get me something else. I tried to say no, but he insisted it was plane tickets and brochures. He had set up a trip to this spa resort in British Columbia. It was pretty mind-blowing, but I realized that it had to be several $1,000s he'd spent. We budgeted pretty thoroughly. He shouldn't have been able to spend that without me noticing. I asked where he got the money and he said he'd been planning this for more than a year and saving all the money assigned to his weekly spending money and collecting change from groceries, etc. where I wouldn't notice. When I say that, sometimes I'm not sure I deserve him. Understand that I'm not having a crisis I need help dealing with. He's just really awesome. The trip to the resort in British Columbia was like a dream. We were surrounded by stunning natural beauty and had the most romantic getaway. My husband made me feel like the most beautiful woman in the world. On our last night there, he surprised me with a private vow renewal ceremony on the beach at sunset. As we held hands and recited our vows with the waves crashing behind us, all of my lingering insecurities washed away. I realized how lucky I was to have this amazing man in my life. When we returned home, I made more of an effort to focus on my inner beauty and self-care. My husband joined me in new hobbies like yoga, meditation, and eating healthy. We both ended up losing a little weight and were glowing from the inside out. The trip had been a turning point in our marriage. My husband stood by my side through thick and thin. His actions proved that he loved me unconditionally. I finally believed it when he called me beautiful, because I felt beautiful on the inside. Our love emerged stronger than ever. We were closer and more committed to each other. The comments from his friends no longer bothered me, because the only opinion that mattered was my husband's. I love you, James.